How was your holiday?
It was good. It was a good choice to go back for sure.
Good, good.
I don't know. I don't know if next year we'll do the same thing. It kind of feels like 2 years kind of got us through everything we wanted to see and do in Blue Ridge, and so the third year, while it was fun, it was great. Certainly wouldn't take anything away from it. It was kind of also boring, and but I mean that was also intentionally what we chose that for this year as well, because we wouldn't spend more money than we would spend going elsewhere, in the wake of buying a house and everything. So
Yeah,
it worked. I mean, it was exactly as expected. I didn't get as much done as I had wanted to get done from a productivity standpoint, but that was also expected. So it's just kind of all right, great. We had a break and I felt somewhat recovered, but I don't know that it was quite what I really wanted to get out of the week either.
gotcha. Well, as I recall from the last time we spoke, you had some investigating of ideas that you had to follow through with, and I guess I take it that wasn't as fruitful as you were expecting it to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
I don't
kind
mean
of
in a
had
bad way, just
yeah, I kind of had an idea anyway of what I was going to do. It was more that I didn't spend as much time brainstorming how I was going to do things as I thought I was going to, but I did spend enough time to formulate kind of the game plan that I want to proceed with. So that's why I say I don't know that I got quite what I was expecting out of it, but I also at the same time got what I expected out of it. It's that kind of odd, like, I didn't have a set goal. I didn't have anything that was, okay, after this week, I want to create this. It was more, there's just enough uncertainty still on how I'm going to do some things that it doesn't feel like I've made a lot of progress, but I've made a lot more progress than I give myself credit for as well. Like
gotcha.
it's too much of it is theoretical without any kind of physical manifestation or digital manifestation. That's what it comes down
Gotcha.
to.
Gotcha. Um, that is, it's kind of like the, I don't know if trope is the right word, but like when you say, "Hey, honey, I'm going to do this thing," and then she asks you for an update, and you're like, "Yeah, it's all in my head right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Nothing
kind of
on
like that.
paper." Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't until today that I actually made any changes to the website to sort of reflect the direction I'm going, and it's not complete at all by any means. It was just now I kind of feel like I have the way I'm going to tackle having all these differing things still have one singular presence, and how I'm going to brand that and still maintain separate brands for other things. And, just trying to figure all of that out was a lot more of a headache than I gave credit for. But it's also because I have so many diverse interests and ways that I want to pursue things that it's just, how do you even bundle this?
Yeah. So, did you publish those changes?
I did. If you go to jthart.com, you'll see the
Oh, I'm there.
difference. So the
I
landing
like it.
page is new.
I don't actually. I don't remember what that was on the landing page before. It's been a
Used
bit.
to, when you would go to the site, it would take you to the portfolio page. So if you click
Oh, okay.
on either of the services buttons, I'll put it that way, it'll take you to the existing site. And so then if you click on portfolio, that used to be the
Yep.
homepage.
Gotcha.
And that's the only change so far. Now that I have the structure the way I feel like I want to do it, now I have to modify some of those pages and content to be more reflective of what they're going to be. So like the photography page will be creative services and the consulting page will be consulting services kind of thing.
Those pictures are so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I read my horoscope, and my horoscope said 2024 was going to be my year.
I'm really
That's the title right there.
I have no problems with that. And we can have, the lead up to this. I don't think there's anything so far that we've discussed that I would leap or cut. We can have this just be kind of a catch up end of year wrap up type thing.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Or
But
beginning of year
yeah,
wrap up.
yeah, I guess technically because it'll be published.
It'll release. Yeah, it'll release
on the new year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I do think at this point, even if it's not immediately, I don't see myself. Well, see, there is some conversation about work there, so maybe not.
There's some names for sure that should be.
Yeah.
Maybe
So maybe
a little bit. There's some stuff in there that needs to come out.
So maybe we'll start it with your comment, because at this point nothing else has been said that would be
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. And there's some stuff in there that you might want to keep to yourself until you're ready to until you're doing it. So
yeah, true.
Yeah. All right. So the comment, that'll be the opening. It's the title. It's the opening.
It'll be a great brief light because nobody's going to know a thing about what we're talking about at this point. Which is funny because there's actually another, and I'm not going to divulge it now, but I'll send you a message here shortly. There's another avenue that I'm exploring also to wrap up with the other stuff. And so I really think based on everything that I'm looking at, 2024 is going to be a year of significant change with regard to what I truly devote my energy to. Okay. Before I forgot, I went ahead and sent the message because I can cut silence easy.
Oh, yeah.
And so like that piece helps along together the other stuff.
Yeah, that really does.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so we'll see. Like that is definitely something that I will wait until I've gone through all hurdles and challenges and everything and can confirm before I spread the word. But it looks like it's probably something that I will add to the other offerings and that will bring everything together.
So today I made the mistake, maybe not the mistake, but I did a thing where I was like, I love to look up the actual, like, what is that in today's dollars? You know, like it's like, okay, here's a good example. I'll use this as a good example because it's from over 30 years ago. But in Home Alone 2, Kevin buys a toy. It's actually soap. He's buying soap. I never noticed that until this year, but he's buying soap from Duncan's Toy Chest. Like, it's a real thing. And incidentally, Talk Boy was not a real thing when that movie came out. It was a prop, and then Tiger Electronics made it for the next Christmas. Like, it was available a year after that movie came out because it was so popular. Like, I wanted one. But anyway, I did the math, I did the, found the calculator online, did the, the $20-ish that he spends is like in today's money. I want to say it was a little over $50. Anyway, so like I did the math for like, how much I made when I first started working my current job with, 7 years ago, versus how much what does that equal today? And it's closer to the value of what I'm making today than I thought it would be. And I was like, oh, that didn't feel good.
Yeah. To know that raises really don't do anything but maintain the status quo.
And there were some promotions in there as well. So, there was there was one hefty promotion in there from 2 years ago. And it's just like, oh, hey. And I know that I'm not, I don't think I'm making the average for what my grade is. Like, I think I'm below average. And so, that is, I came to this conclusion a while ago, but it's like, if I really want to make more money, like, I'm going to have to change jobs every few years. That's how you do it. You have to go in, negotiate with an entirely different company, get there, and then if you want to come back to the company you're working for today, come back in 3 years or something, or come back in a year and a half. I don't know, however long you want to do it. So, and that has been something that's annoyed me for a while as well. So I understand it. It's ass backwards. It is. But that's also what has made me look more and more at the self-employment route again, because it makes so much more sense, and it's feasible in a way that it hasn't been.
as feasible before because I have multiple potential lines of offerings instead of just one, like it would have been before. But then I go back and think about it. I was self-sufficient with just the one for a year and a half before I moved. And the only reason I didn't keep it up is because I was lazy at the time and I didn't want to network and create the do all the footwork to try to generate, recognition and referrals. And I'm not as opposed to that anymore. So, especially when I know that I get to determine where the profits go, 100% of the profits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Well,
just,
it's like,
it feels like it's dumb if you have the option to do something self-sufficiently, not to pursue that in today's economy. For me, I need to clarify that. It feels dumb for me.
well, I was gonna say, I live with somebody who does that hustle every day, day in and day out, and um, I'm amazed by it, really, and I don't want that right now. Like I haven't, if I'm gonna do that hustle like that, I haven't found the thing that it would make it worth it for me.
Yeah.
But I watch her do it, and she's so funny because she's like, and as much as like I can't, like, that is not where I'm comfortable. She's like, I'm at this point. She said, at this point in my life, I am completely and totally unemployable because prior to this, she was she was she was a realtor, so she was a contract for 15 years, so most of her adult life. And so she said, I thought I ran my business, but now that I actually run my business and am an entrepreneur, then she's like, okay, now I understand. This is way different. So, but yeah, I can't do that. It's kind of like I've explained it to her in the two roles that I had at Apple. I was a specialist for a year and a half, which is, for listeners, that is the person, if you want to go buy something, that's who you're going to talk to. And then for 5.5 years, so a year and a half I was a specialist, and for 5.5 years I was behind the Genius Bar. And then I was a lead, I was a lead for 3 of those years, I think. A little over 3 of those years. Anyway, and it is, like selling an Apple computer or an iPhone or I mean, it's kind of like falling off a log. It's people were coming. At the time that I was a specialist, it was during the 2008-2009 recession. Like the mall that I worked in was, I mean, there's nobody in there except for the Apple store, and it just like, I'm sure like the CCTV footage looked like there was like suction from the doors to that Apple store, and people were just, the way people, if you watch it in high speed, that's the only place people were going. And I was like, the rest of the stores in the mall were just like empty a lot, even like on the weekend. And we were just, it was packed. I remember moving out of that, and I felt so much relief going from the quote unquote easier job to the more difficult job and working at the Genius Bar. Because that's just where like I could handle that stress so much better than I could, like, the idea of like, selling enough extended warranties and other services like that. Just that to me, that stressed me out way more than people being upset that they lost all their data.
Yeah, I get that. It wasn't until sometime in the past 12 months. I'll just put sometime this year.
Sometime in 2023.
Yeah, but it wasn't until sometime relatively recently, and during the span of my life, that I realized, for what I can offer, I don't really view it as selling. Whereas previously I did. It was, how do I generate enough interest and enough referrals and enough people and clientele, etc. Now it's, I actually just want to provide these services, and if you are in the market for them, I'm going to provide them in a way that makes me attractive to you. And I know that it's just a shift in mindset. It's not that it's anything special. It's the same general approach and thing. But I think it marks the difference between when it's a hustle as opposed to when it's just a part of what you need to do, if that makes sense. Because I don't have a good way to describe it. My vocabulary is completely failing on trying to draw or create an exact, explain this distinction that I see. But I do see a difference in how I viewed it before as opposed to how I view it now. And I don't know why, other than just there are other things that are more annoying and frustrating that are factors that are driving me to look at it this way as a maybe. Maybe it's just a change in how you view things over time. I don't have the answer for it. But what I do know is that I don't feel the anxiety or dread or anything else that I felt in the past when thinking about going that route. And the only explanation that I have for it is kind of what I already said, where I don't view it as having to go generate leads and clientele. I view it as I just need to provide a service I believe in.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's interesting that you say that, because when I was 17 and I got my first job, and I worked as like a worked at a it's not even a full size Sears store. It was a franchise store in a small town in central Alabama, and my boss there, like, I actually worked for him. I didn't work for Sears. I wasn't a Sears employee. I worked for this guy. And I remember, like to the extent of, like, one day I showed up at work and he's like, "Hey, do you have?" Well, I don't think I wore nice clothes anyway. I think I wore overalls because I was, like, delivering and building, assembling things. And he's like, "Hey, just want to make sure you're okay getting those clothes dirty." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And that day I was a post hole digger. He had a horse farm. He had a farm and he had horses, and he wanted to put a fence in, and so it was awesome. Like, that day I went and dug post holes for fences. And anyway, he told me, it's like, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter if you're buried deep in a lab somewhere or you are, working as a developer or you're working in sales. Everything you do is you're selling. You might be selling yourself. You're selling your idea. You're selling something. And I kind of, even though, like, quote unquote sales is not where, it's not what I'm comfortable with. I was like, okay, I get that. Like, I do have to sell certain things. Like, at some point you have to sell yourself to your boss or whatever. And so it's like, it's, I think the thing is, it's like, it's not so much that I'm uncomfortable with sales. It's, I'm only uncomfortable selling things that I don't think are valuable. So it's like, do you want this extended warranty? Well, no, I don't want this extended warranty. And it's like, well, I guess what, there's a person that I'm going to meet that I don't want to try to sell that to him because I understand why it's not valuable to them. So, yeah, I think it's more about, I think it's not so much that sales is a problem for me. It is, how much do I believe in what it is that I'm selling?
Yeah, and I think that helps kind of illustrate the shift in mindset as well, because what I believe in now is certainly different than what I believed in before, where before I was attempting to generate and create a service that, to me, I still wasn't a complete believer in my skills and ability at the time. It's because I knew what else was out there, and I felt like it was inferior or subpar in certain ways. And I've had, a decade to refine my skills, even though it's more from a hobbyist perspective. It's the same skill set, right? There's nothing.
Yeah.
there's nothing different from what I do casually to what I would do professionally. And I know I can execute on that because I've executed on it before and continue to execute on it when I have an idea that I want to pursue. And so there's a confidence level there that's a part of it, but it's also, I've finally reached that point where I do believe in my skill set and what I can deliver. And that makes it a lot easier because I don't feel like I'm trying to sell something. I feel like I'm just trying to describe to you something that's beneficial, and it's on you to decide, to pursue it or not. Like it, and I know that's it's the same thing as saying a different way of describing sales. Like it sounds like marketing speak for what a sales gig is, but there is that shift that has occurred.
Yes.
It's a pyramid. It's like what you would expect a marketing spill for a pyramid scheme to sound like. The way they would try to change your mindset.
Sure. I think that, and I think we've talked about this on several occasions before, but it's like, I think like I know what my skill sets are. I'm like really happy. Like I remember like working at Apple and feeling like I was learning a lot of really good stuff. Like you know what it is. You learn a lot of really good stuff there. Like you go through the Genius training, and just like the ongoing training, and the exposure that you get by, like doing the job is its own kind of training, just because you're exposed to like different things, and it's just like I felt like I part of it working there in my 20s and 30s, I felt like I built up like this really good skill set from there, and then I feel like I built up even more like where I'm working now, and maybe not more, but different, like a different part of similar skill set, and so I feel like I feel very good about that. But I know what my lane is, and I like it's like I'm not an idea guy most of the time, but I am oh, this was your idea and this is how we're starting it. I feel like I'm really great at how do we this is how we've been doing it. I was like, okay, well, here's how we can do it just a little bit faster, a little more efficiently, to the extent of over the course of doing it several dozen times, it's like, oh, we're twice as fast now at doing it, and it's like I like being able to provide input, but I feel like I'm rarely the idea guy.
That makes sense. It's interesting to have it kind of described that way, because if I take a step back and look at my career trajectory, there was a fairly long stretch where I would say I didn't know how to translate any of my skill sets into something other than just execution or execution under direction. That's maybe the best way to think of it. Like I needed that guiding hand on this is what you need to be doing kind of thing. And then the first time I decided to kind of venture out and play with the photography business, it gave me a little bit of a taste for trying to self-direct and figure out kind of what that might look like, but I still wasn't good at it. Like everything I did during that time frame to be self-sufficient was pretty much event photography, which is a nice way of saying, for the most part, I shot weddings, and that was not fun for me personally.
Right.
But over time, I've reached a point where I have a lot of ideas and creative direction that I can take, and I know how to kind of target bits and pieces and not have to do something where I'm looking for direction. And what I mean by that is, like, when I was doing the event photography, I couldn't go out and do something and then try to find a way to make that profitable or interesting or something else. Like I needed someone to tell me this is what I want, and which is in the space of event photography. If we're talking about weddings, it's I want you available for the ceremony and an hour beforehand for portraits, and then you're good to go. Or I want you available for the reception, or there's direction and there's a very specific. This is what I expect you to deliver within the scope of that conversation. And over, I don't know, the past 3 to 5 years, um, I think we've talked about this general kind of piece outside of this, but I've become far more comfortable with ambiguity and the lack of a guiding direction. Generally talking about behaviors or interactions with people, but it translates to other things as well, where maybe the direction is just that, hey, I want to create some videos for my business to, generate interest on social media. What have you got? Well, that's where I can have fun with this creative direction where I have ideas that I didn't have before, or I didn't know how to
Right.
develop them or understand them. There's a there's that difference and shift that has occurred that was 100% not there 15 years ago, for sure. Maybe
Yeah,
even
yeah.
as recently as 5 years ago. I don't exactly know when it developed, but it definitely grew over the past few years. And I do attribute part of it to the experience of producing the show. I mean, it may not be prolific or high volume or anything else, but I learned a lot about coming up with and producing something for a out of nothing, for lack of better phrasing, because the entire premise was what we wanted to have a conversation,
Right.
and it's developed over time to wanting to convey a message, and still maybe not sure on the execution of that message, but it's fairly consistent over the past year for sure.
I think it's been consistent a little bit longer than that. I definitely feel like the first year was we were all over the place.
Yes,
And
and it didn't take too long to really settle
no,
in and kind of find what is this and what should it be.
2020 was also a weird time.
Yes, it was very much so. But that helps a lot or that general discovery process helped a lot in figuring out how do I translate that to other avenues that could be of interest. And I'm looking for next year to be or by the time this airs this year, to be a really fun year with regard to that. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, so it sounds like the beginning, how you start your 2024 might be radically different than how you end your 2024.
I'm hoping so. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
The big question is, can I really execute on my diverse level of interests and plans that almost seems like too much? It really does. But at the same time, I'm ambitious and I think I can make it work.
You're certainly ambitious. You can certainly like the ambition is there. I see the ambition there rather, and just having worked with you as closely as we did when we first started working together, I was just like, oh yeah. I mean the 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 know-how, the like as far as like execution, I feel like two things. Um, you'll execute well to begin with, and you'll only get better after that. Not necessarily that you are, I'm doing a bad job and got to get better, but it's like I'm doing a good job and I'm on my way to doing a great job.
Yeah,
So
I get that. Especially knowing, so I know we've talked about it on the show where I had the chance to play with some video in relation to the gym and just kind of get my feet wet again and see what I remember, what I don't remember, that kind of stuff, right? Like it was very much a kind of feeling it out type of thing, with benefits for the gym owner as well, because he got some video he could use for social media. And it was positive all the way around. It's led to other conversations and some ongoing discussions about potentially doing more. Um, but where I was going with it is what really helped is it allowed me to look at something where everybody else is impressed or thinks this is great or very complimentary of the work. And I look at it the same way I look at everything. It's like, oh, this could be so much better, and like, look at that, that's a problem, and et cetera, right? Like it's especially with creative works, you are absolutely 100% your worst critic. And I
Yeah.
do the same thing with photography work. So this isn't new to me. But where it helped is with the video stuff because I did video ages ago in a whole different era first, and then transitioned to photography. And so bringing it back to video and playing with some things, it's like I learned a lot, and I certainly did better than the first time I played with video. But I see the limitations of a couple of things, and I see exactly what I want to really make sure I do going forward to elevate it beyond just good. And I'm starting on that foot. And so that description strikes a chord with how I'm approaching things this go around, as opposed to, when I was 20 and trying to figure out what I was going to do, or 25 or whatever age,
Well, I mean,
somewhere in my
and
early
you're
20s.
still, you're still so young then.
Yes, in some ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to finally feeling free enough to say, you know what, no, I'm going to focus my energy here instead of some other things, such as a particular full-time gig that may or may not be an obstruction.
Yeah.
And this is where, I mean, to bring it full circle, this is really where I think it's beneficial for me in general, is I'm at a point where I can say, okay, this is this thing I want to try, and I'm at a comfortable point to really give it 100% for 3 months, 5 months, whatever initial short-term duration I really need to get it off the ground. Or I can do it over the course of the year because the aforementioned full-time gig doesn't annoy me enough to say I'm leaving now, and
Right,
instead affords me the opportunity to work on it and build it up part-time, and maybe even keep both going for a while. But I'm at that interesting point where I can go either way, and that's just a nice place to be.
We have a number of different ways set up for you to get in touch with us to provide feedback, ask questions, or just comment in about something we've discussed.
You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at untitled_hosts, or shoot an email over to untitled.hosts@gmail.com.
Or get in touch directly with Jesse at jthart.com, or get in touch with me, John, via telepathy.
If you would like to support our work or are interested in listening to our new after show feed, head over to patreon.com/theUntitledPodcast and take a look at the options we have set up.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed the show.
And we hope to connect with more of you as we continue this journey.
That's a wrap.
That is a nice place to be. I gotta say, I can remember having a similar conversation not about this particular topic, but I can remember having a conversation with you a year ago about like some things, like plans that I had for 2023. And I gotta say, I don't think that I did any of them. I was just thinking about that.
I didn't do very well on my plans for 2023 either.
Yeah, you injured your finger again.
Yeah,
that made me laugh. The what you sent to me on the Instagram post made me laugh. But yeah, I did not do the things that I wanted to do in 2023. I have terrible reasons for not doing it, but they are reasons. And I am not going to let the same thing happen to me in 2024. Um, so to the extent we have set an elopement date. So that's happening.
I know you referenced that last time we were recorded. I don't remember if you actually had a date or just the location and everything.
Location, date. So the plan is we're gonna elope on 6/6, so it'll be June 6th, or 6th of June. If you do it the right way, in the right order. We have a spot in Big Sur that we're gonna use, and it's just gonna be Becca, myself, and Luke and Jude, and we're not even we're not even going to have an officiant for this. So we're going to, I guess, officiate ourselves as we say our vows and so forth. And so I think the only other person that I think that will be there will be like a photographer.